All right, folks, next week is Framed Season 2 finale, where artists that you voted for go head-to-head in a friendly competition. Don't miss it. So, before we end our Seattle tour, we thought we'd showcase an artist that takes us back in time to show you a form of how this amazing, addicting art form of photography all began. Let's do this.
I'm originally from Mexico, and I moved here when I was 4 years old. I moved to California, and I moved here to Seattle in '97. Yeah. So I followed my wife up here. We had a little long-distance relationship going there for a little while, back and forth between Seattle. She lived up here, and I lived in California. And then I eventually just moved up here because I was in love, you know? Yeah.
Love does crazy.
I know, right? Makes you do silly things. I've always drawn. Always been a pretty good artist as far as like drawing, and never really did much painting. I've always done black and white though. It's funny because I've never done much color, but I can draw pretty well. And I've done a lot of printmaking. That's how I kind of got back into making art. Was I took up printmaking, and I haven't made a print ever since I started doing this. So it's just been a total. It's funny because I've always kind of dabbled in photography. But when I was doing the printmaking, it would take me away from the printmaking, and finally it just took me away. So now here I am.
So tell me the first time that you actually picked up a camera. When did you fall in love with photography?
My brother was he took photography in high school, and he brought home a camera. I'm like, whoa. And I love just the machine, just the mechanics of it. So that's what kind of caught me. And I think that was the most interesting thing for me, is this little machine that could take a picture, I found that really interesting. So then I started, kind of borrowing it and using that, but I was like about 12 or 13, and then I took photography in high school, but that was it. That was as far as I went with photography. But, like I said, I was mostly into drawing and doing that, so I didn't really ever take it super seriously, but I always just had it in the back, something I always did, but never really did it seriously,
So is it serious now?
I think so. I don't do anything else, so yeah. I guess it's funny because I think I consider myself a photographer now, but I guess I always was, but now it's just kind of official.
It's official?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You've got really big cameras, it's official?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would say, yeah, you're a photographer. And what's cool too is that buying all this crap is legit now. Before it was just all, I can't believe you bought that or whatever, so it was funny. So it's all legitimate now. I really love it. I think I found something that, it's like, when you find your groove, I think I found it.
How did you find it?
I just get into it, there's like, when I start shooting somebody, I just get into this flow. And it feels really good, and it feels like I'm doing something I'm supposed to be doing, so it feels very natural. I saw some of these online, and I was trying to find out how to make them. And this person, I knew, a friend of mine, her name was Jenny Sampson. She was actually making tintypes, and she brought in some tintypes for me to look at, and I was just like, whoa, I gotta make these, I gotta do this. So that's like when the fire started going,
What are tintypes?
Tintypes are the same process except on metal. So it's the exact same thing, except it's a little positive on a darkened piece of metal.
So you started with those, and then how did you get into this?
So you can do it two ways. You can do it on tin, or you can do it on, it's not even tin, it's aluminum, but that's whatever. You can do it on that, or you can do it on glass. And I work at a frame shop, so there's like tons of spare glass. So I just started shooting the glass, and I really like it. And I'm just now getting into printing some of these. Some of these are printable, but some aren't. Some that are really, I guess, anemic as far as the information on there, you can't really print onto paper. They're strictly positives, but some are a little, denser, I guess. They're a little more dense, and so you can print those. Yeah, so I've just actually started doing that. for one, they're beautiful, like machines, and that's the one thing I really like about them. And handling and using them, it's a whole nother experience than a digital camera. I have a digital camera, and I use it every now and then. It's probably in the back somewhere. Yeah. But it's just a way of working that kind of fits the way I like to work. I don't know, it's a little more drawn out and a little slower. It's a lot like printmaking. Printmaking is also kind of a process, you have to clean plates and take the edge down and print it. It's not just it's not a quick thing. But I guess it's the end product that really makes it all worth it for me, and the final photograph. And I get this beautiful image on a piece of glass, and it's a unique thing, Right. They have a certain aesthetic that's just, you can't really get it any other way, Like I said, it's metal or a piece of glass, and it's coated with collodion. And what collodion is cotton. It's nitrocellulose, basically. So it's cotton, it's been dissolved in ether and alcohol, and it becomes a syrupy liquid. And that's what actually holds the silver when you stick it in the silver nitrate. Silver binds to that. But the collodion by itself won't make it photosensitive, so you have to add, certain chemicals in there. There's the halogens, the elemental chart. Those are the most reactive elements, and that's what you have to put into the collodion to make it actually photosensitive. So there's, I think, cadmium bromide, and then there's the bromides and the iodides, that go into the collodion. And when you dunk it in the silver nitrate, there's a reaction there. The silver sticks to that plate onto the collodion, and it's a piece of film, basically. And so the reason it's called wet plate is because it all has to happen, like the exposure has to happen while the plate is still wet. So you pull it out, you kind of wipe off the back a little bit, you put it in the holder, and you got about a 5-minute window, depending on how hot it is. And like high heat, you'd have to act pretty quickly. But if it dries out, it's pretty much useless. So you have to kind of, there's a little small window to work it. And then you have to go run back in the dark room and develop it out. So it's kind of like a Polaroid, except a lot more work.
So where the heck do you acquire cameras like this?
Online, on eBay. That's where I bought my first view camera, and that's where I bought a lot of my film cameras. They were cheap, nobody wanted them anymore. You buy them and you use them, they break, so what? You didn't spend a whole lot of money on them. But I bought my first view camera probably 8 years ago, 4x5, and I don't know, when it comes to these, it's like the bigger the better, but there's a certain point where it becomes too big. Yeah. Like this is about as big as I'll go. It's an 11x14, and it's pretty big. There's a guy in California who does these ginormous, they're called mammoth plates, and they're 20x24 inch plates, glass plates. But the amount of chemistry, and you have to have like a lot of resources for it, So, and I like working with film. I just haven't worked with film lately because this is just so much fun. This is really addicting. It's like photographic crack, You just can't stop. It's really fun. So it's an old technique that's, pretty easy to do once you get rolling with it. Once you get comfortable and, you start actually doing it. It's just about doing it. It's not anything difficult. It's just whether or not you actually want to do it or bother with it and get going on it. But once you do, it's really a lot of fun, and you can get some interesting results. I just like seeing the look on people's faces when they stick that plate in the potassium cyanide and it clears out and there's an image that they made by hand. It's just a really satisfying thing to do. It's like I said, it's addicting. I really don't know why people come to me and want to learn. I mean, like I said, I've only taught a few people, but they've always seemed really fascinated by it, and that's a good thing to see, to get people excited about what they're doing, And that's the one thing that I guarantee anybody who does this will just be instantly like amazed at like the older technology, and how beautiful it is. And, don't have to shoot everything digitally, and take your time to shoot something, make a handmade photograph, and it's a totally amazing thing. I mean, those old guys, those old masters, they were amazing at it. They were on, like I said, they're on a donkey in a tent somewhere, taking pictures on these glass plates in a tent, and pretty incredible stuff. So what I'm doing isn't all that, I don't know, isn't that all that amazing really compared to what they did, you know? So.
I think it's amazing.
Well,
Okay, what is this called?
so this is actually a Deerdorf studio camera. This was actually used back in the day to photograph, you know.
I'm like, don't touch it, I'll break it.
No, you can touch it. It's pretty sturdy. You'd have to, yeah. It's actually used for product photography. It's got a lot of movements. The front and back will do all sorts of crazy things. It totally contorts. You can twist it every which way.
Wow.
And it corrects perspective. So
that's kind of like a tilt shift? Is that
yeah.
kind of?
So,
okay.
you know, when you're photographing a shampoo bottle or something, you know, you have to correct for perspective so it doesn't, the lines don't converge.
Right.
So you want it straight up and down, and that was the way they did it.
Wow, interesting.
It was all done with movements.
So you said that you had a holder, and
Yeah.
that's where you put the glass?
Yeah, so the lens just shoots an image onto the ground glass back here. And when you compose your image back here on this piece of ground glass, and it's upside down. Most people don't know that. But so if you were in there, the image would be upside down.
And so is that hard to crop and frame when you're looking at it upside down? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to crop anything, so you kind of compose the image just the way you want it.
Right.
So, you know, you get whatever you want to focus, and I focus on the eyes.
Uh-huh.
And then when it's time to shoot, this thing pops right off. And then you replace that with this back that would hold a plate. And, you know, we'd have the plate loaded up in there already.
Right.
And then you pull the slide out and expose it.
And where is the glass at?
The glass is in here. You know, of course, this wouldn't be opened while the
Right.
glass plate was in there, but
Uh-huh.
the glass plate sits in here. And I have a few masks for smaller plates. So,
Oh, if you wanted to do a smaller size.
yeah, a smaller
Uh-huh.
size. And I actually have a smaller size camera here. This is 8 by 10. This is 11 by 14.
This is 11 by 14.
Yeah. I like to use this camera because of the movements. I mean, it's a pretty easy camera to use. This one's a little more difficult to use.
So how do you focus? Where was the focus at?
So the focus is done by a geared,
That's your focus?
yeah, so this geared
Wow.
crank here
Yeah.
just pulls it in and out.
Uh-huh. And then what's interesting is that I thought it was the lens cap, but that was your shutter. How?
Yeah, so right before I put the holder on, I put the cap on, you know, and then pull the slide out.
Uh-huh.
So you'll see that when I shoot.
How long do you know to take it off?
Well,
You just kind of guess?
I know just because of the amount of light I'm using and the lights I've been using for a while, so it's pretty familiar.
So it takes trial and error to say, oh,
Yeah.
that was too overexposed.
There's no meters. The stuff is it's always changing. It depends on the strength of your silver nitrate, your developer if you mix it right, and the temperature also affects it. So there's all these little variables, so it makes it hard to meter it.
Yeah.
So you just have to shoot one and look at it and adjust it.
Right.
So that's what I'll do. I'll shoot one, and then probably the second one will be a little better, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get better, not worse. So,
Yeah, right.
you know.
So as far as your lighting, I mean, usually people take one and then they adjust their light, but you
Right.
have to look at the light and then adjust. How do you measure your light and how do you position the light?
I position the lights, I mean, just by looking in the ground glass. I mean, it's a continuous lighting, so it's a little easier, I think, than working with strobes. You can't, if you work with strobes, you need a strobe so bright, I mean, you'd be frying their eyebrows or whatever with it. So I just shoot with these lights here. They're actually called compact fluorescents. They have the ballast built in. And this process is sensitive to UV and blue light. And these turn out a lot of UV and blue lights. I mean, these are kind of color corrected to be sort of daylight. Far from it, but
Right.
outside, the light outside is ideal because it has the most UV and it's mostly blue light. So.
Wow.
But
So you're gonna go get your plates.
yeah,
You're gonna get them wet,
hmm
and you have about how long?
about 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
What if you have a very snotty subject and she's just taking forever?
And then I just shoot it and show her what she did. Well, yeah, so I'll kind of, what I do normally is I have the person sit down and I adjust the lights to where I want them, where I think it looks best, and then I'll have them sit there and wait, and I'll run back and grab the plate and come back and then load it, and then I kind of know where I'm at, but I'll do some final adjusting, and the position of the eyes is very important, I guess with all portraiture, but you know, and I just shoot it. And
What if they blink?
blinking is okay. I mean, 8 seconds, a blink is not going to register. A blink is like, I don't know, a 50th of a second. Don't quote me on that, I don't know. But it's fast. And I get pretty sharp images by the way of this headrest, which is a modified cymbal stand, because I used to be a drummer.
That's a headrest?
Yeah, it's
So
a
that holds
headrest.
still?
It's like a little reference for your head, because naturally your head will kind of sway to one side and then the other.
Right.
You know, so this kind of sets the head in place.
So if they have to hold still that long, how do you get the expression out of your subject that you want for that long?
You know, it depends on the subject and how relaxed they are, and it totally comes across. Some
Yeah.
people are a little more relaxed than others, and some people are a little easier to photograph than others.
Wow.
But basically, I mean, for 8 seconds, you have to really kind of settle down and kind of calm down too, and that comes out, you know. That's why nobody's smiling. There are very few smiles in this type of photography. But, you know, it's done. I mean, you can do it.
So
Depends on how quickly you get an exposure, because outside, I can get an exposure of 2 seconds, you know, in open shade, but in here, with these lights, it's about 8 seconds.
So are you
6 to 8
gonna, I'm
seconds.
kind of nervous though. What if I screw it up for you and then you have like an expensive piece of glass?
No,
Are
that
you gonna
glass
make
is-
me feel relaxed?
Yeah,
Okay.
the glass is cheap, you know.
Okay. I've got some change if I really screw it up for you. Cool. Well, let's do it.
So you want to shoot one?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I shoot on glass. These are just 2 mil pieces of glass cut to 8 by 10. You can get it at any framing shop. It's framing glass, basically.
Yeah.
I use a lot of the scraps at the frame shop where I work, so
Cool.
I cut some and prepared them. You kind of have to take down the edges with a stone so you don't cut yourself
Right.
because of the cyanide there.
Smart. That's
yeah.
smart.
So these are cleaned with a solution of whiting. It's basically just chalk
Huh.
and water and a little bit of Everclear. And you just get it clean enough to where there's no grease or contamination on the plate, you know?
Right.
It's pretty clean. So there's some dust on it, but we'll get rid of that.
Right.
And so this is where we take it and pour the collodion on.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so the glass has been cleaned. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
And I just kind of dust it. For
Have you ever cut yourself?
I have cut myself.
Goodness.
But that's when you wear a glove.
Right. Look at those hands. It's the sign of a hardworking
Yeah,
man.
they're pretty nasty. Pretty dirty. So,
I mean, look at these bottles. It's even
This is
got,
a
like,
liquor
old
bottle.
school bottles.
yeah.
Don't drink
It's,
this stuff.
it's got a
you
nice
know?
wide mouth on it. Yeah. Don't drink this. This will clog your drain too if you pour it down the drain.
Really?
So, you pour collodion on and you flow it about until it's pretty evenly distributed. And you know, you try to get it pretty even.
How is it not spilling off?
You just gotta, it's like the balancing the marble trick or whatever, you know? You just kind of have to, do it a few times. The people I taught workshops to in the beginning were like,
Woo!
you get it all over their hand. Yeah,
How
it
are
smells
you,
great,
how
huh?
are you breathing that?
I don't know. I'm used to it. That's why I have the fan on.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So there's your film, and that's my fingerprints underneath.
Can you smell it? Wow.
So this is silver nitrate. And like I said, this collodion's been salted.
Do you use that when you have a cold?
Yeah.
It's like opening.
Some people say it smells like that wart remover.
It
There's
does.
ether in that.
It does.
Camphophenique, right? Isn't that the stuff's called? So it has to sit in there for about 3 minutes, but we're gonna go out there and we're gonna get you set up so it'll be more like 10. You know?
Okay.
So you're not supposed to let it sit in there for too long, but
So
it'll
what,
be okay.
what is it doing in there?
In there, it's gathering up silver into the collodion,
Oh wow.
and it's reacting with the iodides and the bromides, and it's becoming light sensitive. It's becoming a piece of film.
Wow.
So the glass just holds it, the collodion binds with the silver, and then the chemicals you put in there make it light sensitive.
Cool.
So you're making film.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it comes out all dripping wet, and just kind of wipe it down and load it in the holder. So let's go ahead and get you set up, and then we'll take a shot.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is just kind of adjust the lighting. So you just look straight in the camera. And I'll kind of tell you what to do here in a minute. Let me just kind of frame it. So we'll do something really simple, for demonstration purposes. So go ahead and look straight into the camera.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Just boss me around.
Don't do it.
So it says f4.5. So you
Yeah.
can actually open and close it just like a...
Yeah, it stops down to f16.
Wow.
That's the maximum f-stop there. Okay.
Stop talking about
F16. So it starts at f4.5 and ends up at f16. So I'm going to have you kind of turn your torso this way and look straight ahead in here. So what's going to happen too is you're going to have to sit here while we run back and I grab the plate. Is that going to
So
work?
don't move?
No, you can just kind of hang out there.
Should I put my head in the headrest?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. So that'll probably work just fine.
Okay.
So we're going to go back and load the plate.
Okay, I'll stay here.
And you just hang out here, okay?
I'll be right here.
So there it is, huh? Nice and juicy. Dripping wet. That sounds terrible. So as you can see, it's no longer clear. It's loaded with silver. It's all milky and full of silver goodness. So I try to get it as dry as I can, before I stick it in the hole, because it'll drip. And you don't want to get this in your eyes. It'll blind you. So there it is with a holder. All right, it's ready to shoot. Okay, that's straight in. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to move over, put the headrest on you. I'm just going to I'm going to put it against your head to where you can feel it, but not, it doesn't really restrict your head movement at all. It just kind of is a reference for your head.
Okay. And this is an old drum.
Yeah, it's an old cymbal stand. And what do they call these things? A strong tie, bent into a shape.
Wow. You're creative.
That's right. When you're poor, you gotta be creative. Okay, you ready to go? Don't move. It's okay to blink.
Are you going?
Yep, I'm loading the holder right now.
Oh man.
Just try to breathe, relax. Okay, the cap's going on. All right. On 3, we're gonna go 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3. 6. Okay, you're good.
Whoa. Oh,
How was that?
that was really nerve-wracking.
No. Sometimes it binds up. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go watch it develop.
Okay. Let me see. Ooh, stinky.
Yeah. All right, let's see how you did.
Oh no.
If it's messed up, it's all your fault.
I know. Take full responsibility.
So this is the developer. It's a pretty simple solution. It's
Yeah.
ferrous sulfate, little acetic acid, and some Everclear. Everclear is used quite a bit. It's a nice, strong green alcohol.
It's a nice word.
Strong green alcohol.
Nice. That's why you have so much fun doing this job, Dan.
Yeah, that stuff tastes nasty though.
He's actually
It's pretty
tasty.
gross. It's pretty gross. So you'll see the image start to come in. You see your nose there? See that?
Oh my gracious. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Ooh, right now it just looks creepy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is like Christmas morning.
Yeah, it kind of is every
For
time.
real.
So that's about it. And you stop it out with just plain water.
Because if you keep developing it, then
Yeah,
you just keep going?
If you keep developing it, it starts to get really dusty looking.
Uh-huh.
And clear areas start to get this sort of grainy look to them. So you have to kind of know when to stop.
Right.
And you know, after a while, if you've done a few, you start to kind of know when to stop.
Right.
So you're trying to wash off all the developer. And once it no longer looks like a greasy plate, so the water kind of flows off evenly, then you know you got the developer off. All right, looks like it's good. So we're gonna go clear it out now in the fixer.
Okay.
And this is where the cyanide path comes in.
Such an adventure.
All right, so this is the fun part. This is like the magical part here,
Yeah?
where it kind of clears out. So all the cyanide dissolves away the silver that didn't get used up. And see all these milky areas?
Yeah.
That's the part that didn't get any light. And these are actually the exposed areas in,
Oh, wow.
you know, your head. So when you stick it in there, it kind of just dissolves it away and you get this image, you get a picture.
Oh my gracious.
So that's on the back.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's not me, it's your work. Oh my goodness.
Nice top, by the way, looks great.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, how cool is that?
So it's cleared out now. You just pull it out and kind of see what you got. And I just scratched it. So, you know, kind of cleaned off all the scum off the back.
Yeah.
And there's your picture.
Oh my gosh.
That's a nice one too. You did a
That
good
is
job.
so cool.
And you can kind of play with the lights. You know, I use hot lights, combination of hot lights and compact fluorescents to get different looks, you know.
Wow, Dan, you are so good.
Yeah, thank you.
What's crazy is that you can see skin texture.
Yeah, so the headrest, that's like the little secret. And your
Good.
hair looks great, it's so shiny.
I use shampoo.
So now it just sits in the wash for a little while, and then after it's been washed for about 5 minutes, I go ahead and varnish it. It gets a final varnish, and the varnish is it kind of smells like lavender. I don't know if you smelled it when you came in, but it's got lavender in it, and it smells really good. And it'll always smell really good.
Wow.
But that's it. That's how you do wet plate.
Dan, that is
Yeah.
amazing.
This is one pretty recent one. And this has got the varnish on it. I don't know if you can see it, but the varnish adds a little more warmth to it, and
Yeah.
it seals it because it's silver. You know, you don't want any air to get on it. It'll oxidize like a silver spoon would. It'll turn dark.
Right.
And oil from fingerprints will also leave fingerprints and
Uh-huh.
stain them black. But this is a pretty recent one.
So these are these. Is
Yeah.
it the same thing?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you can see it's clear, and it actually is a bit of a negative. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, how's the best way to show that, Lee?
Yeah, so let's come over here. I don't know if you can see that, but they're also negative. So the developer turns the silver white. Like in most photographic processes now, the silver turns black. That's why photo paper, you know, when you develop it, that's why you get a black and white image, but this chemical actually turns it white.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, so right there it looks like a negative.
yeah, and then when you go
put
over
it
here, it's a
down-
positive. So the clear areas, whatever color's behind it, that'll be your darks.
That
you
is
know.
so incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. So if the fan goes quicker, it's like stoking a fire.
That is so cool.
It looks so old, right? Like
It
100 years
does.
ago. So, you know, you can let these air dry,
Oh,
but sometimes,
yeah, the cheek is dry.
yeah, sometimes when you let them air dry, they start to peel, especially if there's damage to them like this one.
Oh,
This one has a
really?
lot of damage to it.
So it's better to put it under the water.
Yeah, well, you know, it's better to heat it up. This is pretty hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it dries, then you can varnish it, and then it's a finished plate. But that's it. And see the difference? I mean, well, it's not a huge difference, but it's wider. It's a lot brighter than the one that's been varnished. And this is the right-facing
Oh, yeah.
way. So this is what, you know, this is actual, like if there was type in there, it'd be, you know, correct. This would be backwards.
Right.
But they have this really nice quality to them. They're really silvery. See that? There's a lot of detail there.
No, I'm actually very
There's-
impressed of all the details.
Yeah, there's detail where it counts, you know?
Yeah.
And everything else just really goes soft. And that also, part of it is because of the movements that are employed there. They kind of throw everything else out of focus and just kind of focus on the eyes.
Well, look at even some of the hairs. You can see fine little hairs.
A little bit of skin texture there too. I love the skin textures. A lot of people don't like it, but I really like it.
Yeah.
So wrinkles and things like that I think are awesome.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, so that's it. And it's the same type thing as the collodion. You just blow it on and kind of swirl it around. Make sure you don't spill it everywhere. And you'll start to smell the lavender in it. It's called a varnish with sandarak. It comes from a tree in Africa. And it's dissolved in Everclear. And they put lavender in it to kind of condition the varnish so it doesn't dry out as much.
Oh, that's stinky. It's stinky.
You get a little bit of a headache after you do about 10 of them.
Really? Yeah, you can't. I mean, I can see why you can't be pregnant and hang around this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's already a lot warmer.
Yeah.
The varnish has a little bit of a reddish color, and then it'll dry out. I'm Daniel Carrillo. I'm a wet plate photographer, and I've just been framed.